Hey, welcome back, and in this video we're going to analyze this track right here, Party's Jumpin', Joshua, Aussie James, all right, on Repopulate. So we're just going to make the hook and lift map, and hook and lift map is simply where we are going to just map out where the hooks are, how they develop, and map out the lifts of the track. So if there's a ride lift or a hat lift or something like that, we'll map that out too. And it's really just paying attention to how the track develops an interest over time. How do they keep your attention? Which is, I think, the most important thing. So we're going to go ahead and start. Let's check it out. And so here I'm just going to create a very generic clip. This is going to be the beat. And I am not going to map out any details in the drums. If there's a ride lift, like I said, I'll put that on here. But any little things that are going on in the drums, I'm going to pretty much ignore all that, because if I decide to use this as a reference track or something like that, then I'm going to make my own groove. And so I'm not too interested in exactly what's going on in their groove, because I'll make my own. But I'm definitely interested in how the hooks develop over time and how the arrangement develops over time in terms of lifts. Okay, because that's something that I can mimic. And but anyway, so I'm just going to create a generic beat, and we're going to call this high pass because it is high passed. You see, okay, we don't get the full lows. There we go. All right. Now you can hear there's like a crowd going on in the background. That's cool, but I'm not going to map that. Okay, so this is about 16 bars of the same thing, so I'm just going to move kind of towards the end. So there's a cool fill. So that's something that I will map. So this is just going to be fill. We'll go ahead and color this here. Okay. Okay, so you can hear right here, there's a hat lift. Bigger 909 hat. Okay, that's like a tighter hat, a little bit brighter. And that hat's still playing. We're just getting this hat lift, which is a wider 909 hat. Okay, so we'll go ahead and map that. So I'm just going to do big open hat. Okay, and you know what? Let's just do 909 hat wide. Just make it a little bit more descriptive. Okay, so the beat obviously is not going to be high passed anymore. Okay, we get the bass, and I'm going to put the bass right under the beat. Okay, and this is going to be red for me. So we'll go ahead and put this in there. And let's just color it. Okay, so you hear a crash 2. I am going to put that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put effects accent. And so I'm going to go ahead and create the 3 effects tracks that I like to create when I'm doing a hook and lift map. And that's going to be the effects accent. So anything that accents like a downbeat or the start of an 8-bar section, a structural downbeat, you could say. And then, so douchebaggy. And then, let's see, we're going to do up effects. And we're going to do down effects. And so if there's like 6 different kinds of lasers going on for the down effects, I'm not going to map those all out. I'm just going to have a general down effects kind of thing. And that should be sufficient, because I could just kind of see how the effects are used to manipulate the energy over time, tell the listener what's going on. And usually there's only going to be 3 kinds of things you need to communicate, whether you've got to accent something, whether you need to tell the listener the energy is rising, so that's going to be up effects, or whether you got to tell the listener that the energy is settling, and that's going to be down effects. And so when it comes time to, if you're going to use this hook and lift map as a reference, then you just know, okay, I need to put an accent here. Maybe let's throw in some kind of up effects. If you want to have 10 of them, go for it. But, you know, you don't need to. I'm just going to have these generic. Okay, so we had a little accent here, a little crash. Okay, so another thing I'm going to do is create an edit map. Now, I'm not going to label this, and you might see other videos where I write down exactly what's going on. but I'm not going to do that in a hook and lift map. I'm literally just going to put where there's little edits. So this is a tiny little one with a little bit of a clap fill. I'm not even going to label that clap fill. I'm just going to put a little marker here for the edit. Okay, there's a tiny little lift here with a high block sound, and I'm going to put that because it is a little bit of a lift. And so let's go ahead. And in this case, sometimes I like to go ahead and map out the MIDI. So this probably is going to be a 16th. So let's see where it is. Okay. I think it's right there. And so, oh, that's interesting. So there's kind of a different sound right there. Okay, so I'm just going to move this guy down one because it's a slightly different sound, but they kind of alternate. And so I'm just going to map that out for fun. Okay, so something got messed up with the, there we go. All right, and so we get a little Vox rep LP up, okay, vocal repetition low pass up. Very typical thing to do. So Vox, and this is going to be 2 in the morning, I think. This is going to be rep. So we'll go ahead and put that right here. Forgot to color it beforehand because then if I create the MIDI clip, it will automatically color it. So here I'm just going to put LP up because that's important. This is how the hook is developing, right? So how is the hook being introduced in the track? Well, it is being repeated and it is low passing up. That's how it's being introduced. Very important. Okay, you can hear a little bit of an up effect there, so you might as well write this. This is a reverse crash pretty much. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. And there you go. We got some lasers. So let's put that in the down effect. We'll do lasers. Okay, so as the track gets more complex, we kind of just start from top to bottom to see what changes. So let's see what happens with the beat. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. So this is a high pass, and I don't hear the bass. 2 in the morning and the party still. So the bass is gone. Is the block still there? 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. No wide hat. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and. Yep, that's there. I'm going to put this wide hat under the beat because I suspect it's going to pretty much play throughout the whole song, and it'll just be a lot easier to copy these together. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning. All right, so this is now full Vox here, so let's go ahead and just create a little clip. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. We've got a crash. Sorry that I have to keep starting and stopping, but you know, I hear something, I got to write it down. So, and I'm actually creating this, right? So here we go. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in. So you can hear there's a little bit of a low riser going on. So this is a low white noise riser. So I'm going to do low white WN riser, just like that. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. All right, so obviously we have some up effects, and this is going to be like higher stuff. That's literally all I'm going to write. You got some lasers, you got a tonal riser, you got some white noise risers. I don't want to waste too much time writing all that out. It's really just tell the listener the energy's going back up. That's all that's going on here. 2 in the morning and the party. Okay, we do have a crash here. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in. Okay, beat is still high pass. The kick may have gone away, but 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. Okay, obviously now we have a snare roll, so let's put that in here. So we've got a 909 snare rolls, and bam.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. Party still jumping.
Okay, so this is just I'm just gonna put rep here, just like that.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. Party still jumping and the party still jumping.
So this is just gonna be a faster rep, right? As we get to close to the end here, then we're gonna increase the speed of the repetition because it just creates more energy.
Party still jumping and the party still jumping. Party still jumping, still jumping. Shit, so we gonna smoke an ounce of this.
Okay.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. Party still jumping and the party still jumping. Party still jumping, still jumping. Shit, so we gonna smoke an ounce.
And so this also starts to wash out. You could do that with something like Bass Clef's washout plugin, Endless Smile. Like these are really popular plugins to do this effect where it gets high passed out, you get more reverb, and that's pretty much it. And so while that's washing out, then we're going to get kind of like the title vocal, the payoff vocal here. So I'm just going to write Vox payoff.
Party still jumping and the party still jumping. Party still jumping, still jumping. Shit.
And you can hear the snare is also washing out. So I might as well write that down while we're here.
Party still jumping and the party still jumping. Party still jumping, still jumping. Shit, so we gonna smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hoes down. Why you?
All right, and I might as well cut this off because that's like a hard cut. I don't like to be that detailed with these, but I might as well.
Shit, so we gonna smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hoes down. Why you motherfuckers bounce to this?
There you go. And I technically call this a PIPO, P-I-P-O, and that stands for Pattern Interrupt Pay Off. Okay, and so this is a good example of it because here we have the pattern. Obviously, we have a snare roll. We have the repetition of the vocal. The vocal starts repeating faster. So this is kind of the pattern that's established right here. We have the risers. That's part of the pattern, and they're just going up. All of a sudden, we get a pattern interrupt. It just goes away. Okay, it just stops. And then we also get a payoff. So P-I-P-O, PIPO. And so this is the PIPO vocal. Okay, it's the vocal that plays after the pattern interrupt, and it also serves as the payoff. So I hope that makes sense.
Party still jumping and the party still jumping. Party still jumping, still jumping. Shit, so we gonna smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hoes down. Why you motherfuckers bounce to this?
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and copy this over. Okay, so let's just check from the top down, and we'll add in the clip definitely for that big entry. Let's just hear if there's any additional drums. There's like this top texture, like it's kind of like a tambourine kind of texture that's added. I'm really deciding if I want to add that. But it is a lift, so I guess we can add it. Okay, sorry to waste your time thinking about that, but let's go ahead and just add it. So I'm just going to add like tam texture. The reason why I'm kind of deciding whether or not I want to is because then that means I have to listen for it across the rest of the track, but I suspect it might be there. So again, I'm going to move this under the 909 hat because then we can move all that together. All right, so let's put in that big entry. So big entry. And so this is going to be kind of a perk sounding kind of thing. So
Motherfuckers bounce to this. Motherfuckers bounce to this.
all right, so I got to listen to this over and over because this is the most important stuff. So for me, the way that I'll break down a track is we have the intro, we have the bass drop. The bass drop is just where you introduce the bass line, teach people the bass line before you start throwing crap on top of it. And sometimes in a DJ set, I mean, you won't even hear this. Usually they'll start it here anyway, but not a big deal. So this is the intro, bass drop. We have break one. This is where you typically start introducing the main hook of the track. You can see in this track, the bass drop, at the tail end of the bass drop, we're starting to low pass up the vocal, and then the vocal starts playing in full right here. And so this is just kind of a sneaky little way to bring it in. So this is break 1. This is hook drop 1. Okay, so this is now where you start playing hooks over the basic groove, over the groove of the track. Okay, and the groove is introduced right there in the bass drop. We get the groove plus the hook. So hook drop 1, then we get the MBB, which is the main break and build. Here we have hook drop 2, and then we have the outro. Okay, and so let's so basically what I'm saying is now we really got to pay attention to how the hooks are developing over, what hooks are there and how they're developing over the hook drop 1, because this is what it's all about. Okay, so let's go ahead and check it out. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little track that's called Vox Punks, and punks stands for punctuation. Okay, but I spell it like punks. Punctuation, like you can see right here, like if you're going to write an English sentence, right? In the middle, maybe you'll have like a comma, right? And then at the end, you'll have a period. A period is a more dramatic punctuation point. You might even think maybe it's an exclamation mark. See how this is like a longer edit over here? This would be like kind of a smaller punctuation point, like a comma. This would be like a period. This would be like an exclamation point. It's just more dramatic, and you can see how these are just kind of building over time. But the thing is that you don't just have to have, so this is an 8-bar section. So this is the, what I would call the P8. So the punk at, I would also call this a P8 just because it's at the end of an 8-bar section. That would also, this would be more of an edit. But, so you can also have a P4. Okay. So that's just a punk at the, around the 4-bar marker. Okay. And so the reason why I'm creating this Vox punk track is because he's using vocals at the punctuation points of the track. And so that's just a little extra detail, right? It's not like, oh, he's just peppering vocals across the hook drop. No, they're placed in very specific parts, and they're placed in the punctuation points of the drop. And so that's why I have created this Vox punk track, because so that way I can kind of manage where the Vox punks are. Okay. So here we go. Let's go ahead a little bit ahead. There you go. We got a P4. Okay, P4 punk, P4 Vox. All right, and right there we get a little synth. This is the first time the synth is playing, and so this synth doesn't have this glorious introduction. It's literally just, this is a P6, right? Because here we have, this would be a P2, P4, P6, P8, and those are typically the most important punks. By far the most important are going to be P4 and P8. P2 and P6 would follow that, but this is a P6 right here. But it's literally just look at where they're putting the sounds, right? So they're going to be at the start. Here's the big entry. Then you got something at the 4-bar mark, so P4 for me, that's what I would call it. You can obviously see, we haven't even gotten here because I keep talking, but you see we have something going on at the P8 at the end of the 8-bar. We also have something going on in between the P4 and the P8, and that's going to be the P6 here, the synth. So you can see how structural the presentation of the hooks are. And so that's why the concept of punks is important for me. And so this right here, this is a synth punk. But I know that this is kind of like a tease for the synth to play later on. So I'm going to, I'm not going to call it a punk. I'm just going rambling on here. You get the idea of a punk. We're putting a synth here because a synth is playing there. And so let's keep going. Motherfuckers, bounce that in. All right, and so that is a P8 vocal. We also have a little bit of an edit there, so I'm just going to put something on the little edit map. Okay. Motherfuckers, bounce that in. Jumpin'. All right, you can hear there's a little offbeat chord that comes in. Boop. So we'll go ahead and color that. Bounce that in. Okay, that's going to probably play across. So we're on an 8th note grid, which is what it's playing. So right there. Okay. So you can, as this plays back, just watch. You can hear it. So you can hear that this offbeat chord and the vocal chop, the jumpin', is interacting. And so I'm going to create a track for that. Okay. Jumpin'. And like in the actual project, a lot of these vocals might be on the exact same track, but I'm separating them because they're different kinds of hooks, right? So here we have phrases being used as punks. Here we're having a chop vocal. And so I just like to separate it out based on what kind of hook it is, all right? So let's go ahead and map this out. Okay, so right here. So that's playing right there on the quarter. So what a nice little pattern, right? So you got this nice little offbeat thing, and it's almost like a call response between this little offbeat chord and then the jumping. Doom ba doom bum, jumping, boom ba doom bum. You get that's the little thing, right? Check it out. See, really nice, very very simple. And okay, I might be taking this too far, but you could see how it's kind of zooming in even more on the punk situation. Because here, so if you imagine this is just like, so here you'd have a P2, right? Here you'd have a P4, but now we're getting even more granular. And so this is at the end of one bar. This is in between half bars. So you can see again how structural the placement of everything is. And this isn't just this track, this is every track. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep listening.
Motherfuckers, motherfuckers, bounce that is. Jump it. Jump it. Jump it. Jump it.
All right, then we get a synth.
Jump it. Jump it. Jump it. Bounce that is. Jump it. Jump it. Jump it. Jump it. Jump it.
Okay, we got the snare roll.
They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do?
So that crash is kind of like an up effect. So
they ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
All right, and then we got that nice little vocal.
They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do? They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do?
All right, and then we get what I like to call a false start. You'll hear John Summit, Chris Lake do this a lot, especially in the last drop, HT2, where you know, you don't get the full groove. Maybe you just get the kick and the bass and like the hook over on top of it. But
so what you wanna do?
That's cool. So here we have a double kick, false start, and then it goes back into the full groove with the tops and all that stuff.
So what you wanna do?
All right, so let's extend that just a little bit.
They ain't leaving till.
All right, I'm not going to map out the false start. I'm just going to notate that there's a little bit of an edit right there at the start. So let's just move all this over. Okay.
So what you wanna do?
All right, and we get a ride lift. Okay, and if I don't catch everything, that's okay.
So what you wanna do?
It's kind of hard to talk about this stuff and pay attention at the exact same time, but I'll try to catch everything.
So what you wanna do?
All right, so let's work from the top down. We got the beat.
So what you wanna do?
Ooh, and there's a little 16th lift. There's a new little 16th top sound that I don't think. So ticka 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 ticka.
So what you wanna do? So what you wanna do?
All right, so we need to change that jumping because we're getting a little bit of extra things going on. But I think we got most of the drums pretty simple. And then,
so what you wanna do?
So let's duplicate this.
So what you wanna do?
All right, so we're just gonna get a double right there.
So what you wanna do?
Now this is different, so I'm going to label this white. Okay, here we go. Okay, so white for me always just indicates some kind of variation. Even in my own projects, if I want to vary something on the same track, I'll color that variation white.
So what you want to do?
And there we go. We got a synth in the P2 here.
So what you want to do? So what you want to do?
Wow. Okay, see, so I've been copying this stuff over, which has probably been annoying you if you caught that. That definitely should not be there.
6 in the morning. So what you wanna do? Jumpin', 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 jumpin'. So what you wanna do? Jumpin', jumpin', parties. So what you wanna do? Jumpin', jumpin', parties. Jumpin'. So what you wanna do? Jumpin', jumpin', parties. Jumpin', 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 jumpin'. So what you
So we got the fill here.
So what you wanna so
Okay, so there's no punk there. So there we go. Okay.
so what you wanna do? So what you wanna
All right, so that is hook drop 1. And then we're going to get into the main break here. So let's see what's going on. You can see that we're getting a very standard thing going on. We're getting just lifts over time. So here we're having a little bit of a snare roll. That's not a lift, but this is kind of a transition at the end of 16 bars to just extend the drop another 8 bars basically. And here we're getting just a little bit more vocal chops with that double jumping. Okay, a little bit more of the punks here. We got a P4. Let's just check to see if we have a P4 Vox here. We don't, okay? So not much. Okay, very simple. And then just a little bit of extra synth, doing a little bit more, what's it called, interaction with the vocal punks. So you can see that here we have...
They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do?
And so we have these punks. So here we have one at kind of the start, kind of just like this rolls over into the next drop. Then we have this, then we have this, then we have this, and then we have the fill. See, and so these are all just at the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6, and then the 8. And then we also have that small interaction between the offbeat chord and the vocal chop. So a little bit of call response. And so very, very simple, but everything is strategically placed. A lot of it is a call response pattern. And let's just keep going. So now we're going into the main break here.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
So here we've got the high pass.
In the morning and the party.
And we have a bass high pass. One thing to point out is that before, the bass was not in this break.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the
And just thought I'd point that out. I don't really have anything to add.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay. Is that the same hat?
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the
Okay, so we don't have the big hat there. Probably don't have the tambourine texture.
in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you wanna do? Jumping, jumping, jumping.
All right, and just checking. Remember, when we're going to a new section, I just got to check to see what's there.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, we definitely have a crash.
In the morning and the party.
We have those lasers.
In the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't
Okay, you can hear there's this weird kind of jangly texture. So that's what I'm going to call it, a weird little jangle texture. Beep, 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 kind of like beepy. It's wide.
in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
All right, cool. So the bass is growing. And growing just means getting bigger in any way. It's just growing. Like it could be you're increasing the cutoff frequency. It could be it's going into a reverb. Just anything, right? I'm not trying to be too specific here. It's just getting bigger in some way. All right.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
All right, so let's go ahead and throw in the vocals.
In the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, and obviously this is like a section that is showing off the synth. So let's just put the synth in.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, this guy's still playing throughout.
In the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
You know what? I made a mistake. The bass isn't growing. It's the synth that's growing. Grow. There we go.
In the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the.
All right, so let's just label these.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping.
So this is pretty much. Is there a snare here?
2 in the morning and the party.
Yeah, so this is just tops.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, the jangle thing is still going on. Same with the offbeat chord.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping.
You can hear the vocal growing a little bit too. Okay, so there's a little bit of a reverb, or could be a washout effect going on as well.
In the morning and the party.
But I just put some up effects here. You can hear some white noise coming up.
2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
All right, so you definitely hear the big down effects. And you hear that massive kind of horn thing. I'm just going to call it a horn thing. It could be a synth or something, but it sounds like a horn. All right, and so now we're going to get the Vox rep, okay? Because now we're entering into the build section, so it only makes sense we're going to get some kind of repetition. And so this is going to be a low pass up. You can hear it starting to creep up. I think the bass is no longer there.
In the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. In the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still. In the morning and the party still jumping. 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 In the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, you can hear the kind of low LFO risers kind of coming up.
In the morning and the party still. In the morning and the party still jumping. 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 In the morning and the party still jumping.
All right, this is definitely growing. Okay, so this is a faster rep for the vocal because we're getting closer and closer, right? And so we're getting a washout as well. Okay, we have the snare roll here. Okay.
Shit, so we gon' smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hoes down, why you motherfuckers bounce to this?
Okay, and here we're getting the Pipo Vox again.
Shit, so we gon' smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hoes down, why you motherfuckers
And then we get the pattern interrupt, so we might as well get rid of that.
up, hoes down, why you
Okay, and then these are basically carrying across. So let's go like this, except that one's not there.
ounce to this. G's up, hoes down, why you mother party still jumping and the party still jumping, jumping, party still jumping and the party still jumping, jumping, party still jumping and the party still jumping, jumping, party still jumping and the party still jumping, jumping, party still jumping and the party still jumping, jumping, party still jumping.
And of course, we still have the synth that we've been ignoring. This is low passing up as well, same as the vocal. And so those entry effects and the down effects are really what's making this kind of just blast over, okay? Because otherwise that'd be weird. Like we have this main vocal, we got the synth that's growing, it's getting bigger, then all of a sudden, boom, it just drops down into a low pass, both of these hooks. But it works because we're dropping the energy, we're getting rid of the bass, maybe we're getting rid of some extra things here in the drums. But the thing that really carries it over is the down effects and the and this horn sound, okay?
So we gon' smoke an ounce to this. G's up, hoes down, why you motherfuckers bounce to this?
All right, so let's just copy all this over here. Like that. Okay. And we just got to make sure, we just got to check. Okay, so let's step back for a second. So we're coming out of the MBB, or the main break and build, into HT2, hook drop 2, okay? And so what I like to call, the reason why I copied this over is because a lot of times you'll have what I call a sandwich. A sandwich is where you have the HT1 and HT2 are basically the same, and then you got the break in the middle, okay? So you can think of these as the buns, and then this is all the good stuff in the middle, all right? Not necessarily good stuff, because this is where all the good stuff happens, but in a sandwich, okay? But the sandwich is because you could see like bun, middle stuff, bun, okay? And typically in a sandwich, right, you have the two loaves of bread are the same. But sometimes you'll have a sandwich that has nice little crusty cheese on top. And so you got to see how the second drop, the HT2, lifts over the first drop in some way. A lot of the times they're the same. But a lot of times also they're not. The HT2 is going to lift in some way. And so they'll usually have the same basic elements, but this will have something else, like rides. It'll have 16ths. So let's just see how they're different. Okay, here we go. So one thing right away is you'll hear the 16th is already in. So if we come back and compare over here, no 16th. There you get the 16th, all right? We also have a down effect underneath the big entry. We don't have that over here. Right, it's like a beep. That's what's playing over here, but it's not playing over here. Now, really quick, I lost track of the rides. I'm sorry, the crashes. So I just want to see if there's any crashes that I missed over here. All right, so far so good. Let's see. All right, but there was a little crash here that I copied over that's not there. A little kind of a crash fill. All right, cool. So let's keep going. All right, just want to check, see if there's a fill anywhere that I missed.
Hose down, why you motherfuckers bounce at it?
So there's not a fill there.
In the morning and the party still jumping. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
All right, not a fill there either.
Motherfuckers bounce at it. Bounce at it. Motherfuckers bounce.
But we might have this little jangly texture thing.
In the morning and the party. 2 in the morning and the party still jumping. Motherfuckers bounce at it.
I can't tell. I think I'm going to put it anyway, though. I think it's there.
Bounce at it.
Yeah, it's definitely there. Let's just see if it's over here. Okay, a little bit harder to hear because we have the ride lift there. So I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. But let's go ahead and step back and focus on the hooks, okay? Because we're in the hook drop, so we got to see how those develop. Again, that's the whole point.
Motherfuckers bouncing this. Bouncing this.
Okay, so this is just a vocal. We don't have the synth here.
Bouncing this. Motherfuckers bouncing.
Okay, we got a little bit of an edit there. Same as the first drop.
Motherfuckers bouncing this. Jumpin'.
Okay, so we got the ride lift and we got the offbeat chord coming in and we're getting the vocal chop. Okay, so far so good.
Motherfuckers bouncing this. Jumpin'.
We're also getting the high block because I see the MIDI clip here, but let's just check to make sure it's not over here as well. No, it's not, because we would have heard that first one right here. Let's just check right here. No, it's not right there, but if we play here, you can hear that block right there. Mixed pretty loud, so. All right, and so we're getting the synth right here, so I suspect it's going to be over here as well. All right, and then we get the snare roll. So very similar structure to the first, just a little bit different. So this is starting to mimic a little bit more of the so if we think A, B, C, the 8-bar sections. So this B in HD2 is mimicking the C kind of in HD1. So it's just kind of front loading a little bit more of the excitement from HD1 earlier into HD2, and that's a typical thing to do. Oh, so there's another little thing that I think he's saying fuckers, or fucker, but. So you can hear it right after that. So I think he's saying fucker, because taking it from the motherfucker. So I'm just going to label that. MF. Let's just label it fucker. Okay. So check it out. You'll hear jumpin' fucker.
They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning.
Okay, so now we're going to get that up crash kind of fill.
They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. They ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. So what you want to do?
All right, we're getting that false start again, so I'm going to put this here, the little edit.
So what you want to do? So what you want to do? So what you want to do? So what you want to do?
So there's a weird sound. It sounds like a chord or something. In the background, it's kind of a texture. It's right there.
So what you want to do? So what you want to do?
I have no idea what that is or why it's there. But it's not there. It's not there. It is here, though. I have no idea what that is. I'm just going to map it, though. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
So what you want to do? So what you want to do?
It's kind of like a down effect. I don't know. That's why I called it that. I don't know. But we're going to copy this over here. Right there.
So what you want to do? So what you want to do? Bounce that ass. So what you want to do?
Okay, so 16th is in here, but the 16th lift is not here.
So what you want to do?
And this little jangle texture, I don't hear that either. The block is there. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just going through the checklist of what's in the C here of HD 2. So here we have A, B, and C. We're just making sure we got it all right. So let's start from the top. We got the beat, we got the 909 hat, tambourine texture is probably there, the bass is definitely there, the block is there, the ride is there, the 16th is not there, and let's just now map out the hooks.
So what you wanna do?
All right, so there was a little bit of a party.
So what you wanna do? So what you wanna do?
All right, we got the synth.
So what you wanna do? What you wanna do? So what you wanna do?
Okay, we definitely have the offbeat chord there.
So what you wanna do?
Okay, there's a little bit of a clap fill, so I'm just gonna put that over here, like this. Okay, definitely don't have the snare roll, nor do we have this fill. We just have like a little clap fill.
So what you wanna do?
Now you might be able to hear there's a lower 16th that's playing. Could be a rim, could just be a block. Put low 16th. Okay.
So what you wanna do? So what you wanna do? So what you wanna do?
All right, so there's no more vocal punks, okay? And so it looks like HD2 here is going to extend to 1 minute. So there's going to be an A, B, C, and D. So there's going to be 32 bars. This HD1 here is just A, B, C, so that's 24 bars. And so HD2 here is going to be have an extra 8 bars. So let's just copy this over. Okay, let's go through it. Let's see what the difference is.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
All right, so a lot changed there. So let's put the crash right there.
In the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still jumping.
Okay, let's go. So we have the beat, we have the hat, we have the tambourine texture probably, we have the bass, with the block. Let's see if we have the block.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
We have the block, we have fill 909, ride. Let's see, do we have a ride? We do not have a ride. Okay, do we have the low 16th?
In the morning and the party still jumping.
No, it's kind of like a rim.
In the morning and the party still jumping.
So no, we don't have the low 16th, but we do have the high 16th.
In the morning and the party still jumping. 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 So we gon' smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hold down, while you motherfuckers bounce at it. In the morning and the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still jumping. So we gon' smoke an ounce.
Okay, so no synth right here. That's interesting. And then do we still have the offbeat?
In the morning and the party still jumping.
Yes, we do. Here's a synth right here. Let's just see if it plays anywhere else.
And the party still jumping. In the morning and the party still jumping. So we gon' smoke an ounce of this. G's up, hold down, while you motherfuckers bounce at it. In the morning.
All right, but we do have the fill right there.
Hold down, while you motherfuckers bounce at it. In the morning and the party still jumping.
All right, and I think that pretty much covers HD2 right there. All right, and then
In the morning and the party still jumping.
and I'm not hearing the jangly thing.
Bounce at it. Bounce at it.
To get that's definitely here, but I don't think it's over here. No, it's definitely not. Okay, so that's just the 16th. All right, cool. So now let's go into the outro. You can see right away, obviously we're going to have to beat through the outro. That's why I'm pasting it over so fast. You can see here that the kick is going to go away, or like the low end of the kick is going away. That's why I'm writing HP here. Okay, but we have the crash and we have the synth right here to start it off. Okay, a little bit of a clap fill. I'll just put that under the edits. All right, there we go. And so that's the track. If I miss something or if I put something in there on accident, then I apologize. It's probably bothering you. But I think that's most of it. And so what are the takeaways here? Well, here we just have a simple intro. We have the bass drop. So the intro to bass drop, that all lasts for about a minute. Then we get the first break. We got a 24 HD1, 24 hook drop 1. Then we got a minute long main break and build. And that's divided into A and B. So we have the A section, which is pretty much just a break, and then the B section, which is pretty much just a build. Okay, and the build is what's the right word? Denoted by what? It's denoted by the repetition of the vocal, the low passing up, both on the vocal and on the synth here. And so those are two things, right? So we're starting to grow. We're starting to go somewhere. Starting low, we're moving high. We get a faster repetition in the vocal, which speeds things up. So it creates more tension, and that comes in with the snare roll. At the same time, the drums keep on dropping certain elements, and the synth is growing. So we're getting washout effects going on. And so these are all things that are just characteristic of a build section. And it just grows in intensity over time. And then finally we get the pipo. And the pipo that is pattern interrupt payoff. And so the pattern interrupt is that all the building pretty much stops and we just cut to the payoff vocal. That's why I call it pipo. Another interesting thing here is this horn. It's literally just thrown in. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything else in the track. It's just thrown in to add some extra interest. And sometimes that's just what needs to happen. And so that's just another thing that adds a lot of sound, a lot of atmosphere to the track. Kind of a cool sound too, a little bit of an identifier. And then we get into HD2. HD2 is 32 bars. Okay, so we have A, B, C, and D. And it's pretty similar to this first one, but we got a couple lifts right off the bat. We're getting the 16th right off the bat. We have the big entry. We also have the down effects on the entry as well. And then earlier than in the first drop, okay, we get a ride lift in the C of HD1, but here we're getting the ride lift in the B of HD2. And so we're just moving the energy closer to the front, okay? Things are happening faster. And then, this just goes on for just 32 bars. And then here we're dropping down away from the ride. And so this is kind of like settling. And so if you think about the contour, the energy kind of starts a little bit low. It goes higher just because of the ride, and then it drops towards the, as we move towards the outro. Okay. And so just, we could say level 1, level 2, level 2, level 1, and then level 0 as we get into the outro. But, let's see, is there anything else notable? Not really, because it's the same thing as before. We got this call response between the offbeat chord and the vocal chop. The cool thing about the vocal chop, though, that I like is that it gets, the vocal chop itself gets increased in intensity as we move on. Okay, so here we're just jumping on the last, I think it's the fourth beat. Then here we're getting still the jump on the fourth beat, but on the second fourth beat, we're getting 2 of them. So it's just cool. It's just a nice little detail. And then of course we have the interaction between the vocal punks and the synth here. And not much to say other than that. Those are really the 2 things that are going on. We have the interaction between these two, the vocal chop and the offbeat chord, and we have the interaction between the synth and the vocal punks. And those are the most important things. Those are like the primary hooks, the vocal punks and then the synth. And then just to the outro. Outro's what I call a boring outro. Doesn't mean it's bad. It just doesn't take any of the hooks from the track and drop them in. It does have a little bit of an entry with the synth, but after that, it's just groove. And then you take away the low end of the groove. Actually, there's not even groove. It's just beat. Okay, groove for me is typically going to be the beat plus the bass. But here, the bass is just gone. Okay, and so we literally just have a beat for 16 and then a high pass beat for 16. And so, quote unquote, boring outro there. Trying to think if there's anything else to say. Like, if I was going to make a track based on this arrangement, then I'd pretty much just be looking for a vocal that's pretty short, right? So we ain't leaving till 6 in the morning. We gonna smoke an ounce to this. G's up, hoes down. Well, you bounce to this, right? And so that's just from Gin and Juice, I believe, from Snoop Dogg, and it was redone. It was a cover. Although, from what I know, covers, you still have to call the song based on the original. And so I'm not sure what's going on with that. I could be wrong about that. But this has an original title, which is Party Jumpin'. So I'm not sure. That's interesting. But what's one last thing I wanted to say? One thing that's really cool about the vocals that I'd have to look for if I really wanted to dig and try to find a vocal that functions in a similar way is wherever the vocal is in the track, it's kind of referencing the track. Okay, so 2 in the morning and the party's still jumping. That's like referencing what's going on kind of in the track probably, or in the night, at least in the club. But the cool thing is the payoff is referencing what's going to happen next, which is the track's going to get going. So if I play this while you motherfuckers bounce to this, and then boom, you get the groove.
Yeah, so we gon' smoke an ounce to this. G's up, hoes down, while you motherfuckers bounce to this.
And then with the vocal chop jumping, all the vocals, I guess I'm saying, is that they're just very relevant to what's going on both in the song and in the club. Okay, and so if I was going to try to find a vocal, I'd want to look for something that does that. You know, that could be like an inspiration for where I could start looking. Okay, but I don't have to do that. It's just it gives me a direction to go, and I think it's cool. It just makes the lyrics and the song a little bit tighter together, and so that's pretty cool. The synth is cool. Very simple. It's just following basically what the bass line and the vocal are doing.
So what you wanna do? Jumpin'?
So 3 in the morning and the party still jumping. You could tell that I think the bass line and the synth were both written to that rhythm in the vocal. And 3 in the morning and the party still jumping. And so the synth is just kind of exaggerating the pitch movement, you could say, of what's going on in the vocal. And so I call that a follow the leader technique. And so if you're going to be writing a bass line, or if you're going to be writing a synth, then just you got to start with the vocal. It's so much easier just to get a vocal for the track and then just use the follow the leader technique. The bass is typically going to be a very simplified version of the rhythm and melody that's going on in the vocal. And then the synth, you can have a little bit more fun. I mean, you could do whatever you want. I'm just describing what happens a lot of the time. And I think that's it. I don't think I have anything more to say. If you have any questions, leave them down below in the comment section. I hope you enjoyed this. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.